The Night Witches was the name fearfully whispered by German soldiers during World War II to describe the all-female Soviet 588th Night Bomber Regiment. Formed in 1942 by the Soviet Air Forces and commanded by Major Yevdokiya Bershanskaya, this extraordinary unit was unique in every sense. It was staffed entirely by women. Every role, from pilot and navigator to mechanic and ground crew, was filled by young women, many of whom were barely in their 20s. Most had been students before the war, but volunteered to defend their homeland after the Nazi invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. Despite facing skepticism and even ridicule from some of their male counterparts, they trained relentlessly and soon proved themselves to be some of the most daring aviators of the war. The women of the 588th flew the humble Polikarpov P-2, a fragile, slow-moving biplane built from wood and canvas. Initially designed for flight training and agricultural work, the aircraft seemed entirely unsuited for combat. It had an open cockpit that exposed pilots to freezing winds and enemy fire, and it carried only 2 small bombs per flight. Yet this very simplicity became its greatest strength. The P-2's low speed allowed it to fly close to the ground, making it difficult for German radar and fighter planes to detect. Its wooden frame also produced minimal heat, further helping it evade infrared detection. The Night Witches became masters of psychological warfare. They developed a stealth tactic that terrified German troops. As they approached a target, the pilots would cut their engines and glide silently through the dark sky. The only sound was the faint whoosh of air over the wings, a sound that German soldiers said resembled broomsticks sweeping through the night. It was this eerie noise that earned them the nickname Nachtwechseln, or Night Witches. When the engines roared back to life moments later, it was already too late. The bombs had been dropped, and the witches had vanished back into the darkness. Their missions were grueling and perilous. The women often flew multiple sorties in a single night, up to 8 or 10 times, navigating by moonlight and crude maps while dodging anti-aircraft fire. Early in the war, they lacked even basic equipment such as radios and parachutes. If a plane was hit, there was little chance of survival. Yet their courage never faltered. Between 1942 and 1945, the regiment flew over 30,000 combat missions and dropped more than 23,000 tons of bombs on German targets, disrupting supply lines, fuel depots, and troop concentrations across the Eastern Front. By the end of the war, the 588th Night Bomber Regiment had become one of the most decorated units in Soviet military history. 23 of its members were awarded the title of Hero of the Soviet Union, the nation's highest honor for bravery. Their success went far beyond the battlefield. These women shattered deep-rooted gender stereotypes and proved that heroism and skill knew no gender boundaries. The Night Witches were not only warriors in the air, but also symbols of resilience, equality, and defiance in one of humanity's darkest hours. Their story remains one of the most inspiring chapters of World War II, a testament to courage, ingenuity, and the unyielding spirit of women who refused to be underestimated.